How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, the Bears bounce back, get to 1-1 with a tight 20-17 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. We saw Justin Fields in this game. We saw the defense show out against Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. Today, we're going to be breaking it all down for you guys, recapping the game, talking everything before we head into our Week 3 coverage with the Cleveland Browns. Before we get into it, though, I would like to say you guys have been wild with support recently. Do us a favor, if you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Do us a favor and follow. We're going to bring you guys the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web throughout the rest of the regular season. I am your host, Chris Malpe. Today, as I am watching some Red Zone, some very good games going on right now, after a Bears win, a feel-good win, you can't be mad about it at all. I'm joined with my co-host, Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I went to go get a haircut because I thought the game was over after 3 interceptions. I come back and the score is 20-17. So I'm like, oh, what happened here? But I ended up watching it back, and Justin was able to close the game out with his legs. But other than that, always good when the Bears get a win, and you don't have to worry about your team playing just enjoying football. So it's always a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Bears got it done a little bit tighter of a fashion than a lot of us would have hoped there at the end of the game. But we're going to get into it all. Let's get into our Week 2 recap presented by our 2021-2022 season partners over at MyBookie. Let's quickly jump to a message from them. We wouldn't recommend a service to our listeners that hasn't been good to us. That's why MyBookie is always the right play. You bet, you win, and they pay. MyBookie has live in-game betting on every NFL game for the rest of Week 2. They've got the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet the over-under on how many fantasy points a player will score each game. So for any of these afternoon games or later tonight, you can get in on that. You can match your first deposit up to $1,000. That is doubling your first deposit if you use promo code BD to activate the offer. Head over to MyBookie online today. The link is in the top of the description, MyBookie. And don't forget to use promo code BD when creating your account to claim the bonus. Bet, win, and get paid with MyBookie. Thank you so much for sponsoring again. And all season, they're going to keep coming back with us. And let's get right back into the podcast. All right, Jaylen, pretty good Week 2 win. It was a tight one, as a lot of people predicted. It wasn't tight throughout the first 3 quarters, but the Bears ended up pulling it out, 20-17 win. Andy Dalton going down with what looks like to be an MCL or a meniscus injury. He won't commit on who will be the starting quarterback next week, Matt Nagy, that is. So we saw Justin Fields come in and play a lot of football in this one. He was 6 for 13. 60 yards, 4.6 yards per pass, and interception, sacked twice for a loss of 25 yards with a passer rating of 27.7. Not the greatest game statistically for him. Probably could have had a couple touchdowns if it weren't for some drops, specifically by Allen Robinson down the stretch. Dalton, before leaving, was pretty sharp in this one, 9 for 11, 56 yards, just over 5 yards per pass, and a touchdown. He had a passer rating of 108. The Bears on the ground, it was an okay day. David Montgomery, 20 carries, 61 yards, and 3.1 yards per carry. He had a long rush of 11 yards. That's going to bump him to 169 rushing yards in 2 games. Overall, the Bears had 123 rushing yards, 3.6 yards per carry as a team. Fields added 31 of those yards. Receiving for Chicago, Darnell Mooney, 6 for 66, 11 yards per catch. Allen Robinson, 2 for 24 and a touchdown. Probably could have been another one. A ball slipped right through his hands there at the end of the game. And that's about it in terms of Chicago's receiving. There wasn't much more to add. Defensively, the Bears had a good one. Joe Burrow hadn't thrown an interception for 199 passes, and the Bears picked him off on 3 consecutive passing downs. Roquan Smith with a pick 6 in this one. He had a monster game. 8 tackles, 1 sack, a tackle for a loss, a pass defended, a quarterback hit, and a touchdown. Duke Shelley also added 6 tackles himself. And then taking a look at the other interceptions just for the Bears, Jalen Johnson had one, as well as Angelo Blackson. I think that's who it was. Angelo Blackson, and returned it for 6 yards, got the Bears back in the red zone in a drive that resulted in a field goal. So, wasn't the best offensive performance for the Bears, in my opinion. Defense showed up. It was the Bears defense that we're so used to seeing here in week 2. They gave Joe Burrow struggles all day. He ended up getting sacked 4 times with a passer rating of 66.2. So Jaylen, obviously looking ahead, and we'll get into it later, the Bears have to look to turn some of those turnovers into more points than just field goals. But overall, what did you think about this game, more specifically defensively?
Great defense. We started off the game very good. Obviously, other than a couple, I wouldn't say costly, mistakes because we end up winning the game, but stupid penalties, in my opinion. Obviously, the taunting penalty where he was clapping in Jamar Chase's face on Tashawn Gibson. I think that's stupid. It's just a clap, But I understand
the Robert Quinn unnecessary roughness.
That's the one that
like
made me upset.
Player.
He wasn't gonna go nowhere. It was already 3rd and forever. So that was a stupid penalty on Robert Quinn because Joe Burrow was already halfway out of bounds. But Joe Burrow did flop, but it was still gonna be a penalty regardless of him flopping or not. I think that was a stupid penalty, more dumber than the one that Tashawn Gibson got called on him. But other than that, the defense played very well. They held the Bengals to 3 points up until 6 minutes left. In the fourth quarter, creating multiple turnovers. Like you said, we saw Eddie get a forced fumble.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one. Eddie Jackson bounced back well in this game. A couple nice tackles and a forced fumble.
Yeah, couple tackles and loss. I mean, that's the Eddie Jackson we all know and love. So, great to see him cause turnovers. Obviously, Roquan getting that huge pick 6. I think that really helped us win this game because that was the only touchdown we got. Other than the first drive of the game. So huge interception by him, and then the other ones by Jalen Johnson. He got his first career interception, and then Angelo Black Swan off a tip pass by Alec Ogletree. So defense played their butts off today. That's the defense we've seen many times before. Definitely a bounce back from last week. So obviously we still need to figure out that nickel corner position. Duke Shelley.
Yeah.
He started off okay, but didn't end the game very well. But, it is what it is. He did better than Marquise Christian because he didn't give up 2 touchdowns. So, obviously, you still want to see some improvements with that. But we got pressure on the quarterback. I think we had 5 sacks. Robert Quinn showed up today. He had 2 sacks. Khalil got 1. Bilal got 1, and somebody else. So, I'm just glad to see this defense show out today. They're the main reasons we won the game. We've spoken about this many times. But that's about it.
Yeah, and offensively for Chicago, they were a little stuck in the mud the whole game, and the same would go for Cincinnati's offense. Both units weren't able to get much going, especially in the run game. I think the Bears did a good job of bottling up Joe Mixon, who only had 69 rushing yards after coming off a week where he had 129. And then David Montgomery was okay. This game was more of a defensive shootout when it came down to it at the end. Justin Fields, the only bad play I'd say he really made in the game, Trey Hendrickson did have a strip sack on him, but that was a good play by him. But Fields missed a linebacker at the end of the game and threw an interception. I don't think Fields' wide receivers did him much justice. I'd like to see him playing maybe a week from now after having a week of reps with the ones. There were some rookie mistakes, some false starts from him for twitching and stuff. So, defensively, I like what we saw out of Chicago. I think the reality of the situation is that every team's going to pick on whoever's playing nickel cornerback for the Bears. We saw a nice bounce back game from Kindle Vildor. He had a pass defended on a really big 3rd down. The Bears overall defensively, up until, as you mentioned, Jaylen, the last 6 minutes of the game, did a really good job slowing down the run, making it tough on Joe Burrow, 4 sacks on the game. We talked about how important the pressure was going to be earlier in the week. So it was big that they were able to get to Burrow and force him into some bad throws, force him into some turnovers. The defense won the Bears this game without a doubt. It wasn't the Justin Fields show-out game where we all see that he is someone who should be quarterback 1 in Chicago. I definitely think he deserves another opportunity, obviously, after a week of working with the ones. And we'll get more into that as we get into our week 3 coverage. But the defense definitely won the Bears this game. They needed to bounce back. They're going to have another tough task next week with the Cleveland Browns, who did struggle today. But it's going to be a tough task nonetheless. Those Browns are looking like they might be a little bit banged up with Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield left the game for a while. But we'll get into that next week. Let's move on to our players of the game. Jaylen, I'm going to start with you here offensively. It's kind of tough to pick a player because it would downright easily be Allen Robinson had he caught that touchdown pass from Fields near the end of the game. That would have put the bow on the present for the Bears winning this one, but he dropped that one. We did see Fields with a big scramble at the end of the game. We saw David Montgomery with a nice 5-yard run where he kept fighting at the end of the game. So it's a little tough to hand out an offensive award where you could give it to a flurry of players on defense. But offensively, who did you like today?
I asked you this, before we start recording. I'm like, bro, I don't know who to give it to. Like you said, it would have went to Allen if he would have caught that amazing ball by Justin. But he didn't. So surprisingly, I'm gonna go with Andy Dalton. He only played until I think he only played like the first quarter or
quarter and a half or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but when he was on the field, he looked very sharp. Obviously, he threw a dime over pass to Allen Robinson on the first drive of the game to basically put that game away because that was our only points up until the late third quarter, fourth quarter. So I'm gonna give it to Dalton here. Sucks he went out with an injury. Hopefully he's able to come back off that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Andy Dalton here. He played a very solid game for the time he was in the game. So can't complain at all. Definitely looked way better than last week.
I'm going to go opposite you. I'm going to go Justin Fields, actually. It's tough for me to pinpoint someone to actually on the offense that played a standout game in this one. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go with Fields simply because I like to see him bounce back at the end of the game. He threw that pick. That was not really a great throw at all. And things looked like they were getting dim. It was really getting to a moment where Bears always make the game tough at the end of the game.
I was like, is this Lions?
It was going to get pulled out or not. I believe it was 3rd and 7 for Chicago. Fields couldn't find anyone downfield, decided to scramble, shed it off a tackler. Bounced back and made a big play. That's a play that only Justin Fields can make. Andy Dalton wouldn't be making that play at the end of the game. He wouldn't have been quick enough to get to the sticks. So I'm going to go Justin Fields. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball. I'll go first this time. I'm going to go Roquan Smith, without a doubt. He had a great game, 8 tackles, a sack. Obviously, the pass defended, the 53-yard return touchdown, pick 6. A great game for him. I truly believe he is one of the, if not the best middle linebacker in the league. I really hope he's an all-pro player. I really hope he's a Pro Bowl player like he deserves to be. So great game for Roquan Smith, who I believe already has 19 tackles on the season. He's trending towards 100+. Yet again, Jaylen, I know you can pick a lot here. Jalen Johnson had his his first career interception in this one. Angelo Blackson made some big plays. Robert Quinn had 2 sacks. But defensively, who did you like here from Chicago?
I'm gonna go with another Jalen. I'm gonna go with Jalen Johnson. He looks extremely
shut down
good
today.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely shut down today. Probably our only world. I mean, Kendall Vildor, he showed some flashes. Got to keep pass deflection on third down, on fourth down actually to force turnover on downs. But I'm gonna go with Jalen here. Let me pull his stats up real quick. But he was definitely able to contain Jamar Chase, T. Higgins when he was on him, as well as Tyler Boyd. But 2 pass deflections and interception. I think he had like 4 or 5 tackles. So I'm gonna go with Jalen here. Like I said, he's our most reliable corner right now. I think he was one of the huge reasons why we were comfortable and confident in releasing Kyle, because we have somebody younger and cheaper. On that was opposite of him last year. And Jalen played extremely well last year. I think he almost led the league in pass deflections. Definitely led rookies in pass deflections, for sure. But like I said, I can't wait to see what he develops into. I definitely think he's a number 1 corner in this league, and if he continues this, he's definitely going to be a Pro Bowler this year. So I'm excited to see him get his first career interception, and yeah, I'm going Jalen.
Yeah, definitely a big game for Jalen Johnson, someone who needed to step up, someone on this Bears secondary needed to. Yeah. We saw a pretty good day from Kendall Vildor as well, in my opinion. He had a pass defended and 4 tackles, but a great day for Jalen Johnson. 4 passes defended for him today. Another great player to honor with.
He defended a pass with his back. Like he wasn't even facing Joe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's how good his coverage was. He didn't even need to look. All right. Before we close this out, let's quickly talk about thoughts heading into week 3. Obviously, Jaylen, we're going to jump right into the week 3 coverage tomorrow with Bears-Browns, another big one. Browns have struggled 2 weeks in a row. Obviously had a game against Kansas City they could put away, and they didn't do that. And then barely hung on today against Tyrod Taylor, David Mills, and the Houston Texans. So Jaylen, a lot to work on offensively heading into week 3, a question mark at the quarterback position for Chicago. Should be interesting to see how that progresses moving forward. Defensively, still needs some work to be done. So what are your thoughts heading into week 3 on what needs to improve?
Well, like I said, when it comes to the defense, I was definitely happy to see them bounce back, especially because they did not look like themselves. Last week against the Rams, uh, we weren't able to get much pressure on Stafford. Missed a lot of missed tackles. Every time Stafford threw down the field, I thought somebody was going to be open. So, like I said, we were able to clean that up. Obviously, we had that long touchdown pass to Jamar Chase where Eddie hit Kendall and allowed Jamar to walk in, but. Other than that, like I said, it was a very good bounce back game. Got 4 turnovers, 3 in one quarter. So as long as we can keep that up next week, we're finally seeing the pressure that we thought we were going to have coming into this season. Obviously, it was against a very weak offensive line in the Bengals, but we were still able to do it and get pressure on Joe Burrow and get him his face and stuff like that. Robert Quinn showed up. He got 2 sacks in his game. He had 2 sacks all of last season. So. I think he's on track to have a better season than he did last year. But I still want to see more from the offense. I think 3 of those the 2 Jaylen pick and Angelo Blackson pick, they basically put us in good field position, and we were only able to get field goals. I think that has to change. Obviously, Nagy wasn't prepared to play Justin Fields multiple, series as I guess you could say the starting quarterback. So I think that's why the offense was very slow once Justin got in when it came to him passing the ball or plays designed for him. But next week, if Andy is still out and Justin remains their starter, I think that hopefully that gets better. The one wasn't there as much as it was, but David Montgomery was still good. The line needs to be better. They weren't creating much of a pocket for Justin, but he was still able to obviously use his legs and avoid pressure. But other than that, that's about it. Continue to work on the offense. I think we've been saying like that every single game for like the last 2 seasons. Wanted to see improvements from the offensive side of the ball, but we got to win. Can't complain much, and I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my Sunday.
Yeah, same here. A stress-free Sunday. I think all I would add is defensively. The Bears are going to have some gaps in the secondary. We saw it in week 1. Sure. We saw it again today with the Jamar Chase long touchdown. So the front 7 has to keep doing their thing, like we saw today. I think that's 2 weeks straight where the Bears look really good against the run. And we saw the pressure get there today, and also Roquan Smith, guys like that stepping up and making plays. So the front 7 has to continue to do their thing. I trust Jalen Johnson's going to do his thing. We saw a better game today from Tashawn Gibson as well as Eddie Jackson, so hopefully those safeties can hold up. And once again, just one of those cornerbacks needs to hold up. Offensively, continue to get the run game going. I do think the offensive line has to be a little bit better. And the microscope is going to be on the quarterback position. Can Andy Dalton recover in time? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to be that mobile next week if he plays. So right now, if we're under the assumption that Justin Fields is going to be starting next week, he's got to gel with his receivers. He looked upset sometimes today when he couldn't convert, which is a very rookie. But I think if he gets reps with the ones, we can continue to see him play better and better as the weeks continue. But it looks like it's setting up next week for a really big game for the Bears, a winnable game. They'll definitely be the underdogs, but a winnable game against a team that's struggled, and it's going to be Justin Fields' game to win and his starting job to win. So it should be really interesting if Fields starts next week. But overall, and I think the one last thing I'd add is just wide receivers, man, catch the ball. There were a lot of times, and then a lot of false start penalties, man. I don't know if it's a team that's poorly coached or anything, but you've got to tighten that up. We lose too many yards to penalties. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to our week 2 post-game show. If you haven't already, drop a like, subscribe, follow if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Drop a comment down in the comments if you're listening in on YouTube of what you thought about the Bears' Week 2 win, 20-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals. If you want more content from us, head to our website, beardown.com. The link to that is at the top of the description. If you'd like to enter giveaways we're having, see sneak peeks of guests we're going to have on the show, and let us know what you guys want to see us record about. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Bear Down. And finally, you can find the links to our social media pages down in the description, myself as well as Jaylen, our Instagram and Twitter pages. It's a great way to interact with us and see our thoughts on all things Bears, the entire National Football League, which I will be watching the rest of the day, and all of Chicago sports. So, Jaylen McClinton, a win is a win. Bears eked it out as I expected. But any last words before we sign off here?
It might be Justin Fields' time. We obviously wanted to see him start from week 1. I didn't want to see him play because of an injury to Andy Dalton. That sucks to see, but I think the future is now, and I can't wait to see him, get more stars, get more reps with the ones. I think that definitely affected him. I don't think he played bad, but if you look at the box score and look at the numbers and see the interception, you'll be like, oh, he played terrible. But I think it's more comes with that. You have to actually watch the game and see. That's going to take time, especially because he didn't play with the ones at all, or really any during training camp, and definitely not now during the season. So buckle up. I think it's going to be a hell of a ride with Justin, so I can't wait. But that's about it. Bear down.
Yeah, Justin's time might be now, and he really has a chance to put his stamp on the Week 3 game against the Cleveland Browns. So the 27.2 passer rating doesn't look great. I don't think that completely does him due justice, but I think we will see the offense look a lot smoother next week, especially if he's taking more reps with the ones. Just in general, he needs to gel a little bit with some of these players in the offensive line. So should be interesting heading into Week 3. The Bears will have an opportunity to move to 2-1, and we're going to kick off our coverage tomorrow for that game. Most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web. Bears fans, we hope you enjoy your Sunday and Monday. A lot more football still to come. The Bears win 20-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals, moving to 1-1 on the season and tied for first in the NFC North right now. If another team in the division can win, there's a lot to look forward to, but be happy. They definitely squeaked that one out, but it's what we needed to do. So, guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.